From the backstretch at Saratoga, this is Loose on the Lead with Steve Byk and Seth Merrow. Loose on the Lead is sponsored by
Good morning, everybody. It's Loose on the Lead. Steve Byk with you, Seth Merrow with you, and the steeplechase pairing of Bill Gallo and Patrick Lewis, the AP Smithwick, the rescheduled AP Smithwick. And finally, Bill, the decks are clear, the skies are clear, the path is clear. No problems. It should be a fabulous edition of the first grade one.
It's taken a long time to get here.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody's on the grounds, ready to go. Same 7 horses that we had for last Wednesday when we were rained off. But it's a really, really tough race.
Now, Patrick Lewis with us too, and Patrick, Upland Flats Racing, as well as the brand new upstart claiming partnership, Sleepy Hollow Racing. Patrick's got a few in, and boy, it's been a busy week for you. You were hoping to get up here, for the race on Wednesday, and you ended up staying, and you're going to spend, what, a month?
We're here for a month. I leave actually straight after this race to go back to Nashville for just a few days, take care of some things down there. But yeah, the 3-day delay led to sampled a lot of Saratoga's eating and drinking establishments, and so I'm worse for the wear. I'm going home. I'm tired. But no, it's a big week. We got to see some of our 2-year-olds in training, and got a win yesterday at Woodbine. Have not won yet here, but we got a third with a horse I own a little bit of, Jamie Begg, Baroness Bourbon, in the New York Stake on Thursday. And then today we got 2, the one and the 2. So we're going out right next to each other in the Smithwick. So.
Wes Newton and Freddie Flincher, and we'll talk about your experience getting into not just the jump game, of course, but the flat game as well. And Bill, I mean, we obviously were joking about the weather situation after we couldn't, run the Peggy Steinman here, Belmont Week. The first of these 2 grade 1s. Later, the Jonathan Shepard Turf Riders Cup. But talk a little bit about the summer program, because between this and what's going on at Colonial on Thursdays, it feels like the biggest summer yet of steeplechase racing.
We're busy. We're very, very busy. We have 7 days we're going to race at Colonial, or 6 Thursdays where we have 3 jump races a day. I just got back from Colonial. In fact, Patrick won a race at Colonial.
Oh, that's right. I left that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Good job, Cherie.
We've got 18 jump races at Colonial, and then, as you mentioned, we started this summer with the Steinman. We're stakes only here. We've got the Steinman, the Smithwick today, and then follow it up with the Shepherd in a month, and then we move on to Aqueduct for the Grade 1 Lonesome Glory. So, and with a novice race there. So it's a 7-race program in New York, all stakes races, the best of the best, and it complements, or Colonial complements the racing here perfectly, because we have maidens and ratings horses, and we actually have $200,000 filly stakes down there a month apart, which our horsemen are really looking forward to. So we certainly are busy and happy and appreciative that Colonial and Saratoga host us.
The program down there and the growth of it really feeds well into complements what you're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, they're offering $50,000 maiden special. That's a good pot for us. Our normal maiden special on the race meet circuit, our own hunt meet circuit, is $30,000, sometimes $40,000, but 50 is a good solid number for us, attracting new owners to the game. Patrick's a perfect example of that. But it is, purses do matter, and it's important to fuel our owners and keep them going. It's an expensive game to play.
Yeah, and I mean the day rate is maybe it's not 110 or 120 or something like what you'll get for
like a flat for the flat
but it's
trainers.
Creeping up. I think it's 90, 95, 100. Some of them are still a little bit below that. The ones that live on a farm, but
Right.
The purses matter because you're trying. This is not it's a hobby sort of, but it's really a business. And I think the thing that drew me to it quickly was that the competition is real. Like, we're not messing around. This is not a polo match in the backyard. We all want to win. We all want to beat each other, and we want to get the purse money, but we also want to do right by the horses. And it's just been an incredible community.
Bill, since we have you in here and we're talking in generalities now, let's take us through the rest of the season for people who like to jump racing, as I do. And I know Steve goes down to Fire Hill, and Fire Hill has become kind of fun over the past few years. But the hunt meets and the tailgating and whatnot. And I pulled up a replay from Patrick's backyard earlier this year because I wanted to have a chance to show. We won't get to see Snap Decision up here because of the age restrictions. But boy, he was phenomenal in the Iroquois this year again, the old veteran. And as I say, those hunt meets are so much fun. Just talk a little bit about the entire season on the jump side of things.
Well, we spin out of here. We go obviously we're going to go down to Aqueduct, but then we kick right in with our fall schedule. Starting in Maryland at Shawan Downs, and it's action every weekend. A variety of things, everything from the smallest. One of the smallest ones is, in fact, in New York State in Genesee. Genesee Valley Hunt Cup, which is a very popular, great local event, all the way up to Far Hills. Far Hills is our championship day, $700,000 in purses, $250,000 grade one, complete stakes card. So it's full bore throughout the fall.
And for folks who've never been, including me, I'd love to get to one of these, but it's a different kind of atmosphere, but it looks like it's a lot of fun.
If you've never been to Far Hills, you got to. Steve can attest to this. It's special. It's a special day.
They're all of the. We should really flesh out, and you made reference to Genesee Valley and throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, and then working your way up during the spring and into the summer, and each of the stops along the way have their own unique personality. Much like the NASCAR circuit, where there'll be an early season and then a late season stop at a lot of those ovals. It's the similar scenario in a lot of the hunt meets, and just the atmospheres are different at each time of year. You think about the cup, the two cups, the Virginia.
Carolina.
Virginia.
Oh, and Virginia Gold Cup. Virginia Gold Cup.
Yeah, and early season, late season, Carolina as well, and whatever region you're in, if you're within driving distance, you should experience it. It's I've been to now probably 5 different venues historically, and it's just incredibly special. They're invariably fundraisers for local charities. That's a big part of the interest in the appeal. There's a lot to like.
Yeah, and in fact, normally there would not be pari-mutuel wagering. It's seeping in now. We do have pari-mutuel wagering at the Gold Cups and Virginia Gold Cup and the International Gold Cup in the fall, which is really important. Obviously, we have wagering at Far Hills. That's an aspect that it's picking up, and we hope that continues to grow, because it's obviously if you can make a wager, you have a lot more interest in what's going on.
Colonial added wagering this year too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did.
Including
Patrick,
the pick 3.
Today in the AP Smithwood, I pulled up a replay of Freddie Flincher.
Okay.
But I went back to the Saratoga victory back in 2022. So we'll take a look at Freddie Flincher winning here at Saratoga. You got a couple in here. Talk about your shots today in the Smithwood.
Yeah, I mean, Wes Newton is the first horse I ever owned. I've got 29 now, and he was number 1. We claimed him for $15,000, and he's just been super special. But I'll talk about Freddie just because it's on TV here. This race was probably the highlight of my racing career, even though I've won some huge stakes. I was here in Saratoga, surrounded by friends, and was so nervous that I was like, I'm standing in one box, I'm not moving, I'm not going to the winner's circle, and they're like, dude, you won, we're going to win. We went nuts, and I mean, it was a cool day, and there weren't a lot of people there. It's the first race, and we were jumping up and down like it was like we just won the Kentucky Derby. And to win here, to do it with his Parker's first win at Saratoga as well, Parker Hendricks, and me, Carrie, and Parker, and everybody. We had a huge night, really fun. Sung a bunch of karaoke downtown, and I was supposed to be on a 4 p.m. train. Today I've got a 5 p.m. flight. I was supposed to be on a 4 p.m. train that day. I did not make it. But if I miss this one, though, I might not have a house to go back to. He's, he gets foot bruising, bone bruising a little bit, so he's a little bit of a horse that needs time in between his races. But when he's on, he's as good as anybody. And he's going to need a pace set up, but he's going to have to be close to the pace. But we've got Stephen Mulqueen on. He loves that horse. Should be great and should have a real shot. I mean, Wes Newton, every time he's gone to the Grade 1 company, he's not run his perfect race. He's had some excuses. Last time, he's really a horse who wants to be on the front. Last time they kind of stole the front, and we were never able to catch up. I think today we're going to be pretty close to the front. The other horse that Leslie is running, pick a number, is going to be up there too, just based off of his races over in Europe. But if we can make the lead and kind of steal it and settle on up there, if he can get 2 3/8, he's got a shot to be up there. I think for us, if he were to hit the board, that'd be huge. And Freddie is going to be a betting value. I mean, I just think everybody's going to pile into Abana, obviously. Ziggle Pops ran huge last time, and then L'Imperator, the only one who has a Grade 1 already. And so if Freddie's sneaking around there at 10 to 1, I'm going to be betting the farm on him. Hopefully win a couple more farms.
Slip in as well. You're interested in the flats, and you referenced some stake wins. That includes poolside with Slim.
Yep.
And most recently with Rusty Arnold, pointing for Kentucky Downs. But talk about your transition to become pretty prominent in the flat side, in partnering up with people like Bo Bromagin. And then, of course, you got that Sleepy Hollow hat on. You're just getting going.
Plugging it a little bit.
With this Sleepy Hollow racing, too.
Yeah. Well, I started with Bo. The first yearling I ever bought was Red Carpet Ready.
Very nice.
I was pretty lucky. I think she's won like 900,000 now. She's won something like 5 graded stakes. Still missing the Grade 1. But Bo is just an incredible partner. Such a talented bloodstock agent at horse picking. I think he's like, the last 10 horses he bought, half of them have been stakes runners. And 4 of them stakes winners. He's just so good. And he's been a fair partner to me. He taught me a ton. Gave me just enough rope to sound like an idiot in every interview that I got to do. But I kind of craved, those horses I can't buy on my own. They're $200,000 to $400,000 horses. That's a little bit above, what I have the budget for. So I started doing, kind of like I bought an Astern Grivet who won at Prescott Downs 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
She's an Astern that ran a 10 flat at OBS. Really nice horse. Didn't have a ton of page, but a great athlete. She made 92,000. Like, I can foot that. And that one went to Jamie Bagg. And so that success, I'm now like trying to recreate every year. I'm going to get a couple horses that way in sort of that price range. And then the claiming stuff, as somebody who works in finance and trades, is just addictive. I mean, it is so fun. So I created this partnership called Sleepy Hollow Racing to kind of bring people that want action, they want to claim a horse for, like this one we claimed the other day for $40,000 is going to run back in 3 weeks, and for non-winners of $335. If you win and you get claimed, your ROI is something like 30-40%.
Sure.
And I'm not going to take a management fee or anything. We're going to have somebody that runs the books and everything, but the idea is just to get like people in for $25,000 to get a part of like a bunch of horses. And so we're about 50% committed now. Hopefully after today I should get some press if everything goes our way, and we'll fill the rest of the book up. And it's fun. I started doing some Twitter videos of like going through the paddock, or you can't go in the paddock during claiming race, but watching them walk by leading into the paddock, and then going into what I call the shake room, the horseman's office for where they spin the ball to see if you win the claim. So I'm trying to do a little bit more of that hands-on media stuff so people can see it and really experience.
I read an interesting last night interview with you where you said you bring kind of a Moneyball mentality to the game.
I have to, yeah. I mean, because you'll go broke fast. I figured that out. I think I bought 5 yearlings, and none of them were running. None of them were any good. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, sorry. I gotta figure this out fast, and you hang on to them because you keep wanting to see them. You're like, no, if we can just get her right, and she can run 7 on grass, she's gonna win. And then she runs 7 on grass and gets a bad trip, and you convince yourself that you got to keep going. But I think the partnering with people like I've done with Bo, I mean, Red Carpet Ready, poolside with Slim, who will be in the $2 million race at Kentucky Downs. And then just picking your battles and not being afraid to move on from horses, whether it's through the claiming ranks or through the sales, is absolutely the ticket. Because the more you hang on, the more mistakes you're going to make. So, but it's just been, I mean, outside of my children and wife, I'm going to preface that because I know they're watching, the joy of my life. This is just, I love it so much. I'm so happy up here. Being part of this. And
if people are interested in the partnership, how do they get involved? Is there a website?
Or? Not yet. At Sleepy Hollow RC, or you should follow me at Upland Flats. I'm going to continue to do a lot of media stuff. People respond to that.
Yeah.
They like that kind of thing. And then I don't know. I mean, I know you're probably not supposed to go into the horseman's office, but go in after a claiming race and just watch the claim. The shake is really fun. Everybody puts in and they're all nervous, and then you find out if you get the horse or not. It's like Storage Wars kind of, except for now you're training an animal.
And if you want to get in touch, I can put you in touch with Patrick as well.
Yeah, and my cell phone's right on there too. But yeah, love to get involved. Anyway, mostly excited about today right now. I think. I'm hoping to celebrate and head straight to the airport, but I could be twisted to do a couple shots in the Jim Dandy if we win.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Patrick Lewis and Bill Gallo, the Grade 1 AP Smithwick today. And Bill, before we go, one thing in the back of my mind. Tell everybody about Smithwick.
Patty Smithwick?
Yeah.
Oh, he's one of the greatest steeplechase riders of all time in America. Second in the all-time standings, and from a wonderful family, the whole Smithwick family. His brother, Mikey Smithwick, famous Hall of Fame trainer.
Yep.
It's a wonderful person to honor.
Bill Gallo, Patrick Lewis, and today the Grade 1 Smithwick. Later in the meet, of course, the Shepherd. We've got Travis Stone. It's going to join us next. And I didn't think about this, but it's kind of a rest of the show is kind of a local special.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Travis from Tupper, and Cherie Devaux will join us as well. Cherie absolutely sending out one live horse after another at the spa, not just at the spa, at Ellis as well. Loose on the lead. We'll be back after this. Travis Stone joins us.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
They're off the turn. Mystic Dan cut the corner and grabbed the lead right at the top of the stretch. Sierra Leone and Forever Young are shoulder to shoulder with a furlong to go, but they've got 2 lengths to make up on Mystic Dan, who's begging for the wire. Forever Young and Sierra Leone keep on coming. Sierra Leone, Forever Young, and Mystic Dan. A wild finish. Here's the wire. Photo finish. 3 noses on the wire. Mystic Dan, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young in an international thriller.
There it is, the much heralded call of the 2024 Kentucky Derby. Mystic Dan, the winner, and much heralded because it was a great job by our friend Travis Stone. Local product that has gone on to become the track announcer down at Churchill Downs. Travis, good morning.
Wow, that gets the anxiety going again. You remember, I mean, that was wild.
Talk about, give your reaction to the reaction, because it really, social media, you wound up on the McAfee show, and there was just a really great reaction to the stretch call. So give us your reaction to the reaction.
Well, it was fun. I mean, you know, when you get into the gig of race calling, to call races like the Derby and to have it come together like that, incredibly proud. Very lucky, though. I mean, when you call races, you're looking through your binoculars, and any day of the week, you can sometimes, who is that? Well, in the Kentucky Derby, you have to know everybody. And at the top of the stretch, I kid you not, I saw what I felt were like 12 horses in view. And you could tell the race was collapsing. Forever Young was moving. Sierra Leone was moving. And I just said, just get them all. And so you just start rattling off names, and it just happened to have binoculars on the right horses at the right time. I happened to have binoculars on Forever Young and Sierra Leone when they started brushing. I happened to go inside when Mystic Dan made his move, caught Catching Freedom as well. Just a lot of luck was involved in that, but you know, the postmortem was I mean, I enjoyed it. It was good for a few days. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy it, and but even like now I thinking about it now, it's like, man, you got to get ready for next year, and you could feel the anxiety build a little bit.
You got plenty of time, don't worry.
Yeah.
But it was a great weekend for the whole crew down there. I have said, now that we've completed it, with the exclamation point up here at Belmont Stakes Week, the Triple Crown season was great this year. Not just the 3-year-old races. They may have been the weak point. The undercard stakes races, and you guys down in Churchill kicked it off very well with the new facility. The whole team did a great job. Our friend Tony Kalo down there now as a part of the crew. Caitlin Free with that crazy video she had out there where she had the top 3 and kind of laid out the strategy. It was really a fun weekend, and one of the highlights was your call. So
I appreciate
congratulations.
And you mentioned the Triple Crown, and not to get political, but it just makes my blood boil when you hear about these changes of Triple Crown conversations. There's one thing that works in racing, maybe 2. 1, the Triple Crown, and 2 is here. Like, those are the 2 things without a doubt that just year in and year out. So it was a great Triple Crown season, and it's ongoing. I mean, Dornoch yesterday, you know, Travers is set up to be awesome with those late developers and some of the early seasons.
Let's actually let's bring that up because I asked the team to put together a graphic. Let's get a feel for where we stand with the Travers and the Pennsylvania Derby yet to be run. And if the guys can put up the list of prospective horses, unbelievable.
Dornoch.
For those of you who don't have X-ray vision that can somehow make out the white lettering on the white background. Dornoch, Torpedo Anna, Seize the Gray, Sierra Leone, Fierceness, Batten Down, and then produced Friday and the Curlin, Unmatched Wisdom, Corporate Power, Mind Frame, and Dragoon Guard.
99 for Unmatched Wisdom Friday in the
Right,
Curlin.
and this... You've got the potential here. Then whoever else jumps in, you're going to have 10 to 14. You're going to have pretty much everybody you would have liked, except for the horses that have been turned out. Catching Freedom, for instance, and a couple of others. But just a very exciting proposition by the time we get to.
And I call for a replay to Haskell. Why don't we take a look at that and we can continue that discussion? Does Dornock now move to the top of the class?
How does he not?
Yeah, I mean, I texted Danny after the Derby because we had watched the replay a few times, watching the blimp view and stuff, and I told him, I said, you ran way better than you think. He got blasted coming out of the gate. He got blasted coming into the stretch, and the only mistake that I made was not bending him back in the Belmont. And he's done nothing wrong since then. They tested a few things in the bluegrass trying to rate him. That didn't work. It's just a horse who wants to run. And you could tell early in the race here, you can see it. He's just cruising along. He's loving what he's doing. And, I mean, when we look at that field, though, for the Travers, there's other pace in there. The Travers will be a much more difficult
if Kenny
task.
decides to go with the
Yeah, she's got some tactical speed. Batten down is not slow. There'd be enough gas in there, I think, to make that race honest up front. Sees the gray, depending on who he runs next week. And Fierceness wants to sort of be unfettered and near the front. So,
but he's the first one that's now put 3-year-old stakes together. That just there makes him interesting. Mystic Dan has the Kentucky Derby, but it seems like unlikely we'll see.
We were talking yesterday. I think the only horse that could maybe take the 3-year-old title from Dornock would be Fierceness if you were to come through with a couple of big wins on the tail end of the year. But I mean, to win the Haskell and to win the Belmont, that's a pretty powerful 1-2 punch. Somebody else gonna have to come up with another big one.
And here you see Dornock headed. This has been the theme with him all season long. If somebody puts a nose in front of him, he responds with the most tenacious. Look at this.
Yeah.
And I tell you, yes, Mindframe stumbled at the break, and it cost him position. The thing here, you get the sense. I don't know. You get the sense that if he goes down, if he gets steered into Dornock's sight, maybe he realizes, that he needs to engage further.
Yeah.
But they're 4 paths apart. They're not seeing each other.
If you look at Mindframe coming into the stretch too, he looks like he's looking around a little bit, and sort of gawking at the crowd. What am I doing out here? I'm never going to question Irad. I think he's the best rider in the world. But I do wonder, if you go down and engage, or I'm sure it's been mentioned, put blinkers on him, whatever. Maybe it's just development and seasoning that he needs, and he'll be better next time.
And that that is invariably when we talk about the Triple Crown season and this tendency now to have lightly raced horses that jump up, win a race, and get the points to get into the Derby and be in position. This is what they're giving away in terms of experience.
Yeah.
And Dornock had, that 2-year-old form and the 2-year-old foundation, and it does count. It's not, it's not lip service saying, that these horses need to learn and get repetition and be engaged in different parts of the track, different, take dirt in their face. Gargan talks about the bluegrass and, experimenting, with not, having him in the race from the bell. And
they answered that question.
They've answered it now, twice in a row.
Well, think about the Oaks and Derby winners, Kenny McPeek. Kenny McPeek is not afraid to run his horses. Yeah. And they both had a pile of experience come into the 2 races this spring, and look what he got for it.
So, and now you got the filly.
I also called up a replay of the Coaching Club American Oaks.
She also with the bad start.
Yeah, she kind of skips at the start a little bit. Brian Hernandez, gets her right up into the mix and then comes back a little bit. He gave her a great ride, but this was a phenomenal performance. I mean, to me, she solidified the eclipse with this win yesterday.
She's so good, and I want to give Brian some credit too. I've watched Brian at Churchill now for 10 years. This is a rider. I mean, I could count on one hand the number of times he's been in a bad spot or has made a mistake. He could have really panicked when she stumbled like that. Instead, he just let her go, find her spot in the race. I mean, obviously Leslie's Rose was running a race, so he could have, continued to press her here. Instead, he backed off. He knew what he had, and it also helps when you have her. She's she's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really good.
I mean, going into the far turn, you might have thought, maybe not today. Then about halfway on the far turn, you think, okay, this is. And then by the time they hit the top of the stretch, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And as I say, I would think she kind of.
There was one moment where I thought Leslie's Rose might get away and kind of wire them, and then there was a moment where I thought Candide might pick them all up, and completely false. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, she was phenomenal, certainly yesterday. I think a 95. Dornock was a 103, and she was a 95.
103 and 95. I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
Idiomatic, a 97, winning the Molly Pitcher.
Yeah, Idiomatic working for that in the Molly Pitcher. But again, it's going to be in the winner's circle after the race. Kenny McPeak was alluding to the fact that serious consideration for the Travers, and social media yesterday, a lot of folks were saying this is the best 3-year-old either sex. It will be interesting if Kenny chooses that path.
I'm sure he will.
Weeks.
Kenny's aggressive.
Yeah,
I think that's been in the back of his mind this whole time. Not to cold water it though. She's going to take a lot of money, and she's not the fastest horse on paper in the Travers.
No.
I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer.
She also hasn't been tested, though.
Yeah.
So you really don't know.
She's cruising here. I mean,
Yeah,
look at her
this
ears.
is a
She's just
joke.
having fun. And Candy, by the way, is not a bad horse.
No.
Very good horse.
Yeah.
And here's Eclipse with another Grade 1 placing on a filly.
Yeah.
They've got a very different approach to their business model.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some action today, because I said when I invited you in, take a look at some of the races, and we'll kind of complete the card here. Before we do that, for folks who aren't familiar, they know you as the announcer down at Churchill, and we saw the very good call this year. But local products, Schroon Lake, and just take folks through briefly. I remember you up on the roof over there calling in, and you were working with the Saratoga Special, and take us from the early days up in Schroon Lake and pitching in with the auction company, and then winding up in the booth down at Churchill.
Used to come here all the time. My dad was a state trooper. He retired after high school, but we used to come down all the time. We'd just come racing, and they'd let me run around the racetrack, and I at some point fell in love with the race calling aspect of it. Would come home and pretend to call races. Wrote Tom Durkin a letter when I was 12. Got that letter back. He wrote me back with some good advice, and sort of on my way. Right out of college, Louisiana Downs. Did that for 7 or 8 years, where it's 20 degrees hotter than it is here. But then Monmouth, I did some NYRA work in the winter, and Churchill all within a year, and been there. This is my 10th Derby, so very lucky.
Wow.
Yeah, very lucky.
Well, and we're going to do some handicapping because Travis, of course, a top-level player. But we do have a question on that front. Kevin in Louisville is asking, how much of a better pick 5 player are you now thanks to Olivia?
I know who that Kevin is. She is, Olivia's a great, my girlfriend. She's an excellent, astute observer of horse flesh. Better so than I am. But yes, when I tell her that, she's going to love that. I'm going to hear about that the rest of the day. Yeah.
Has David Levitch helped your handicapping?
All David does is pick Todd and Irad, so no. That's all he does.
So for everybody that knows, this of course, the mirthful queries from Clocker John, John Nichols, checking in from the Ville with us. But let's take a look at what we got this afternoon, because I think it's another terrific card. I think the racing has just been outstanding,
I got
day in, day
pick
out.
3 bankroll this afternoon on behalf of some randomly selected folks, and it's going to be a challenge, but I think if we hit, it'll be okay. Let's kick things off in the 7th. Maiden Specials going a mile and 16th on the grass. I thought yesterday the first timer from George Weaver with a little bit of breeding was interesting, and same scenario with running away. So the 1 and the 5 were intriguing to me, but I could point to about 6 in here. What are your thoughts on the 7th?
Yeah, yesterday Half the Roses for Deborah, who's a good horse. Weaver's very capable first time out. Just feels like this horse is turf meant and was an easy horse to use for me. I'm going to look to Sharp Smile as well for Brad Cox. Ooh, there's a few angles to work with there, including a nice most recent breeze. So those are the 2 for me in there. I mean, you can get a little carried away, and these 2-year-old 2-turn turf races, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
It's, they're young babies, and 2 turns is tough for them.
Yeah, they hit the turn, and the 6 or the 7 decides, we don't want to take the turn. About 4 of them wind up on the park.
Suffer from it.
Lot.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. Race number 8. Or Steve, do you have some thoughts on the 7th?
I picked Sharp Smile. I want to use Ready to Battle off of a big B-plus work for Gary Barber and Cassie. I mean, how do you argue with the job Cassie? There were some years he's had real travail here, and he has absolutely, and we should acknowledge Mitch Downs down in Ocala at the Cassie Training Center. Mitch prepares these babies before they go up to Cassie and the team, and he has been sending out live horses. This one, War of Will, doesn't look great when you glance at his firster stats, but there was never a question that it was going to be distance for the War of Wills. And Cassie actually told us this back in May or June as the War of Wills were starting to arrive at Barnes. He said, give them a race, let them get to 2 turns. So I thought at 12-1, ready to battle, was very live here. So I went 6, 10, 8, wild and free. And I respect Chad with that Virgin Colada as well. This is a more than ready Hertrick and Fielding product that I thought, was just logical.
I was debating earlier on the handicapping show, because I'm not a huge drinker of mixed drinks, but is a Virgin Colada like coconut juice? Is that?
Well, yeah, it's the stuff without rum. It's just,
Wouldn't know.
That was in the same boat. 8th race today. State bred allowance non-winners of 1, 8.5 on the grass. I thought Awesome Check was interesting off the seasonal debut. Similar scenario for Lakeside Getaway, but another race where I could have gone in a few different directions. Travis, your thoughts on the
Yeah, I'm on Awesome Check here. I oversubscribed her in fine yesterday. I was a little bit against her because of that huge setup in the most recent race, which this filly took advantage of as well. I think this is just a much softer spot for her. It's going to be pretty tough. My one sort of outside-the-box idea is the 10 Starts Now, who I get it is coming out of a cheaper spot. But a lot of times these horses, when that light bulb goes off, they can come right back and run some races. Yeah. And there's figures on her profile that make her competitive in here, and I thought she's a bit of a live long shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. Yeah. Steve, it's your play of the day race, right?
It is. It's the DePaula play of the day, and I want Ronya, the one from the rail, Jimmy Bond. Speaking of horses running well, Bond focuses on this meet, and this is a Song Hill homebred, actually. An Air Force Blue filly that needs a little pace, and I don't know if she's necessarily going to get it, but I would think that Javier goes forward early and gains some position. At 6-1, I thought that she was a fun play of the day. I think we'll get every bit of that 6-1. The horse to beat, to me, is First Time in Forever, and for those of you who don't know who Leonard Powell is, you better take a close order. Leo Powell, a Frenchman based in California, is an outstanding trainer. And I respect everything that he does. And I don't know how many he's going to pointed for the meet, but Leo Powell's tough. 2-1, Awesome Check, Boxed Wine. I mean, I've been waiting for the New York breds long on the turf. My favorite division. There's very little separating, usually the top 7 or 8. And I invariably are reaching for prices in these spots, and this is a typically deep competitive race. But the DePaula play of the day is the one, Ronya.
My dark horse play of the day comes up in race number 9. Maiden Specials going 6. I'm going to use the Cassie horse Salted. He trained the damn Salty. She had a good record, sold for $3 million as a broodmare prospect. I thought there was a little bit of breeding here, but down at Churchill, took a lot of action in the debut, so I was thinking maybe there was some buzz there. I'm going to go back to that one. Travis, what did you see in the night?
Yeah, not to bury you. I'm again Salted in here. That to me was one of the more weaker maiden races we ran at Churchill. The quarter was actually pretty slow.
And I have to admit, the number is very low.
Yeah, subsequent form hasn't been that strong, as opposed to, let's say, 8 Spun Candy, who I thought was wide against a bit of a good rail at Churchill that day. Put in a little bit of a run, which just looked like a horse that was green. I think the interesting contender in there is 2 Laughing Lady, who had a pretty sharp pace on debut for Tony Dutrow. Tony doesn't have a ton of moves like this, but he has been successful. 2 for 5. I think 3 of the 5 were on the board. So, what's the play here? Why run on the turf? Was this dirt race the intention all along? I don't think this is, as far as quality 2-year-old races. I don't feel like this is one of the steamer races of the meet, if you will. So I'm okay taking a little bit of a shot with a couple.
Steve,
I'll be honest. I've struggled with the 2-year-old races, and I mean my formula is pedigreed, siblings, workout reports, and the like. And I don't think I've picked an on-top 2-year-old winner yet here in the first early going. I ended up on double cappuccino, and this is blinkers on second timer for Rapoli and Pletcher, and this is pretty much a workout note move for me. Kiss Me Slow, the homebred that Teresa Z was a nice one of the early good runners for Vinnie Viola, and is an into mischief filly. Seems like she's ready. Look at that gate work. Best of 147.
Tough post.
Agreed.
I'm always scared with 2-year-olds.
But you got the right guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pratt just puts everything on his shoulders. Yep. How do you? I used Immersive, the Godolphin homebred, Nyquist, and Cox, and then Black Dog, the Amos. You better look 3 times at everything Amos sends out. Right.
That was I believe it was the first 6 furlong two-year-old race at Churchill, which obviously to go 6 that early in the year, you have to have some ability and talent. Yep. So that's when you want it. That took money. So obviously they like it a bit.
We'll look at one more before we wrap it up here. Race number 10, allowance non-winners are one other than 9 furlongs. I thought the 3 Paddington at 6-1 was a little bit interesting for Linda Rice, third start of the season, but the horse to beat is Black Rain from Pletcher. What are your thoughts?
I'm going with Rocketeer. The horse was wide and wider at Churchill most recently. I think was a little bit against the track that day. Those were hard-knocking 3-year-olds. It's going to have to get a little bit faster. But the problem for me was I just didn't trust many of the others. I don't trust Black Rain going 9 furlongs, even though it ran very well last time. I thought D-Day Sky was an interesting underneath exactor.
I agree a little bit. I actually picked Paddington as well, Seth, and I got a feeling that 6-1 is going to get cut in half by the time the gates open. I used Rocketeer second. I respect Black Rain enough to include him. And then I used Grandpa's Kid, Randy Prasad, down inside. Moves to Javier, and I thought that Grandpa's Kid might be able to boost your try or your super.
Sounds very good. Travis, we appreciate it. We'll wrap it up here for this visit. But how long you been?
I'm here all summer.
We'll grab you for one of the weekdays.
What else you got to do?
I mean, I'm not working until the middle of September.
That's
so
right.
whatever.
Kalo's got things covered down in.
And there we go. Ready.
Very good. Travis, appreciate the visit this morning. Yeah, we'll
pleasure.
get you plugged in later in the meet as well. All right, coming up in just a moment, Cherie Devaux, again, having a really good meet. We'll be joined by Cherie in just a couple. Stay tuned.
Surprised there's not a crowd of people.
Stone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish in the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
We're back on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. Absolutely glorious here at Saratoga. And now the set is made more glorious by the arrival of Cherie Devaux.
We kind of match.
We do kind of match.
We're like earth tones today.
Well, I said when Cherie came on stage, she's got the quilted long sleeve on, like it's September and one of those 42-degree mornings.
I'm always cold. It's
You are
fine.
always cold. Well, you might be cold. You might be cold temperature-wise, but red hot when it comes to sending them out here at Saratoga and at Ellis. We're not going to discount those. And of course, you ran yesterday as well at Monmouth, but you've got to be just absolutely thrilled with the way the horses are performing. And it's a long summer, but you're certainly off to the kind of start you hope for.
Yeah, no, it's a testament to our team and our clients and the jockeys and, of course, the horses that, everyone has a bad day or they just don't feel like coming out. And right now, practically everyone has shown up.
I knew this morning when I was thinking about the things to talk about with you, and we'll talk specific horses and the way things are going to go from here. But talk about how far in advance, because you certainly know this condition book as well as anybody, how the meet unfolds. Explain to everybody how far in advance you go through the set lists and you look at who's where during the season and what you're going to have to do to get them there on time for this meet.
Well, we don't really focus 100% on this meet as much as the development of the horses. So as they're coming along, when you're fortunate enough to have a big group of 2-year-olds, the ones that are doing better or act more precocious will stand out from the rest that are still coming up through the ranks. So a couple weeks before, we'll have a horse like Without Caution and Profound that made their first starts here.
Yesterday.
And Good Conduct, and they're going well. They're precocious. They can mentally handle shipping into an environment like this on short order, without too much of a hassle. So it really is some, we target, we bring them in here knowing, when the first couple 2-year-old turf races are. And if you notice, it's mainly turf horses that I bring up to debut horses. Ellis has a great program. They have a great track, and the dirt, and if you look, a lot of my 2-year-olds, especially on the dirt, do need the start. So I leave them at Ellis, and if they perform like a Tarabi, we can always bring them back for the end of the meet. So it's kind of, we take it horse by horse. And then the older horses, obviously, you have more of a form on them. So we'll just kind of just look and see who fits, and then start bringing them up. The majority come up early, and then a horse like Shotgun Hottie, she just shipped up this week. Baba she's going to have her first breeze back from the Chicago. She'll ship up the week of the race. So some of those will just come in right before they run.
Nice. Very nice. It should also include in the scheme of things. You mentioned the team, and I think about March at Ocala and walking through the pavilion there at OBS, and you and husband David and Gordo, and then at least 6 or 7 others.
Right.
And you're all going through all the barns. You're going through virtually every hip. I mean, this is on the 2-year-old front, of course, and the 2-year-old in training sale. When it came to yesterday's winner Without Caution, interesting in his own right as a John Gunther homebred that John bought under Gavel, and kind of interesting. And of course, Without Parole, John's stallion. But talk about that process and who everybody else at the table is, and trusting other people's opinions. I mean, obviously you can't be in all 3 venues when it comes to the active runners, but talk about trusting instinct and trusting people that you've hired and melding it all together?
Right. So the training and the buying are two separate entities and processes. So the training, everyone who has worked for me or works with us, they understand what I'm looking for, and when I'm not there, they're the ones that are evaluating every horse and getting feedback to me. So it's a seamless. If I'm in one place, I can find everything out. And with technology these days, videos of everything, so I can listen to what they have to say. I watch the videos, but the sales is really David's arena, and so his team, they're doing all the legwork. So there's David at the top, who is like the trainer, and then he has his assistants, and then the shortlisters. So at the yearling sales, that's a lot of work. So the shortlisters go out and look at every single horse, and then come up with a short list for David to look at. And then when I come in, I'm just looking at the condensed short list. At the 2-year-old sales, it's the same thing. And every day they go through every single horse in whatever book that they're targeting. So at the 2-year-old sales, they have a huge team compared to, I think, some others. So they have clockers, they have one in the chute, they have one watching them jog back, then they have somebody looking in the barns. So that's more comprehensive, but it's a smaller population of horses to look at. So whenever I go, the yearling sales, I do set more time aside to be there, because that's a lot more. And it's a lot more in depth. When you see a horse breeze, you can either by the way they work or gallop out, their conformation, their stallion, whatever it is, I'm getting a small list. And then I go through that list and what works for me, then we focus on trying to purchase. And I always think it's interesting when I go to a sale, and it's the same thing as training. David has a couple of trainers he works with, and John Sadler and I will go through the list, and he likes a different horse than I like. We train differently. Obviously, we're on different coasts, but it's very interesting how the process works, and how, one horse might not be for everybody, and doesn't mean one's right, one's wrong. It just means that we're all seeing something different and what works for our particular programs.
Cherie, how surprised are you to be in this position? And I don't mean the training side, more, I mean, being a manager and being and training staff that know what you like, because I can tell you from the corporate environment, there's no bigger challenge. There's plenty of people that can go out and sell. I came out of Procter & Gamble, where that has to be balanced with people that can train others to do what you do and to transfer that. And I knowing your personality, knowing you for 20 plus years, you have to be kind of amazed that you've cultivated that to the extent you have.
Well, it's something I'm always working on. I have always had high expectations for myself, and I'm a perfectionist to a fault. So some of what I've had to do is manage my own expectations of what's going to happen in my absence, or I might be more meticulous at a detail on something that somebody else might miss. But that's why when I go back to Keeneland, and if I see something that I feel needs to be corrected, it's no big deal. It's just that's the way I want it done, and I can't get upset. And I've learned this the hard way, and I just can't be upset, because I know that maybe the lens I'm looking at is different than what everybody else is. And something that's a big deal to me it probably in the grand scheme of things isn't a big deal, but to me it is. Something such as like a horse standing out or something, and just trying to teach them how to do the right thing so they don't squash me in the paddock. Like you're just trying to create good habits from the beginning. So that's something I've worked hard on myself, because there's plenty of there's plenty of great horsemen in this business, but obviously personality issues and the meshing of personalities and making
100%.
everything fit
100%.
is what's most important for your own program.
That leads into, I always, when I get trainers back here, at some point during the year, I like to ask a trainer, because I don't think fans realize. They think a trainer, you go out, you train the horse in the morning, but when you get to your level and you've got strings all around at various venues, you're a real business person. I mean, you're like
Right.
the president of a company almost, with a
100%.
staff that has to be paid, and you have to buy equipment and whatnot. Talk a little bit about that aspect of the game.
Right, and I mean, I have, like I said, David's team, everything from the bloodstock and the racing is separate, but then when it comes to the office staff, I have an office assistant named Amy who handles all of our day-to-day things, and David has his assistant Gretchen, and then we have a great person that works with us and helps us with Reagan. Her name is Amber. So between all of them, it's somebody's picking up the mail and somebody's running things to the bookkeeper, and this is getting ordered and that's getting ordered. So it's a lot of oversight, and that's probably, to be fair to myself, that's the one weak part that I'm always trying to work on, is just, managing the clients, the horses, not that it's easy, but that's, for me, that's the easier skill set. And then, with the team I formed, I have a lot of faith in what they're doing, and I really appreciate that they held their expectations up to my level of expectation in my absence. So that is okay, but the business part, and the one thing I think I would like to bring up is sometimes we hear about some trainers getting in trouble with like the labor board or insurance thing. There's so much that goes on, and I think all in all, trainers are trying to be compliant, but most businesses have an HR department. They have a payroll department. They have lawyers on staff that are always checking the upcoming rules and making sure they're implemented. And I think that, there's so much that is expected of trainers. And then you have to go out into the with the fans and interact, and you might have a million things on your mind, and you still have to put a smile on and just try to be cordial if you've lost a race or if you've gotten some bad news. So it's such an encompassing position, which when David first approached me about talking to me about taking a chance on myself of being a trainer, I knew I had a lot of faith in myself in that capacity, but I said everything else is going to be what I'm lacking. And when you're an assistant for a high-profile barn, you don't have time to work on those things. All you have is a lot of horses to look at and manage, in Chad or Chuck's absence, manage what they want. And it's hard because, almost oblivious to the fact of what it really takes to run a stable, especially at the level that I'm
And I
at
don't
right
think
now.
the fans realize, they don't think that. They think you go out, you train the horse in the morning, but they don't realize you have a payroll, you have a big staff, you have equipment to buy and whatnot. There's
Right.
a lot. And you talked about the late. Each state has different rules you have to follow, and
Each wage is different, and you're trying to be fair. And I don't know how many times each week I pull up my payroll and there's 2 or 3 people that they just forget to clock in and out. And I mean, it's just little things like that, and you have to adjust. But all in all, sometimes I read things and I'm like, I just wish people would be a lot more fair to it's easy to criticize, but I'm willing to guess if anyone has to come into our shoes, it's going to be overwhelming for them as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to get a chance, because I always like to tell the fans kind of, there's a behind the scenes that is a lot different than what you see on the front side in the afternoon. And I just had you on a couple days ago, but I said when you sat down, happy to have you come in again, because that afternoon somebody said to me, hey, didn't see the show, who'd you have on this morning? And I named you as one of the guests. And they said, did you have any 2-year-olds? And I said, we never got to that. And then subsequently yesterday, the $28 winner without caution, I think we have the replay there. So talk a little bit. And now I have to ask if there's any other 2-year-olds we should watch over the next week or couple of weeks.
Well, I always hold my cards close to the vest on the 2-year-olds, just because Profound, who was in this race, who was the favorite at post, he was showing a lot of precocity, and he was straightforward. And without caution, he's a big he's not immature. He's mature for where he is, but it's hard to get a real gauge on a horse that's only turf. He was training great, and on the dirt you really can't tell what they're going to do out there.
Yeah.
I had a lot of faith in him that he was going to run a great race. I probably in my own mind thought Profound might have just been the one if one is going to get it done. So when you go out there, the gates open, it all goes out the window. So I was just really pleased, and Profound had a tough trip, so that also factors in. But we do have some 2-year-olds. We have a filly named Panache in today in race 7, and she's a filly. Again, I try not to take anything from the 2-year-old. So she has a start on the dirt, sprinting, and a lot of times a horse that ends up on the turf that might have had a race on the dirt, it's just because they've brought themselves there. So I weigh should we breeze them a couple more times and just wait for the turf? But when they're ready so early in the season, turf racing is still quite a bit of time away. Just let them get in the gate, let them get in the paddock, let them have the whole race experience. And then, we can always build from that. So she's in today. I entered another one named States Rights. It was the same situation. He ran okay his first time, but he's probably turf meant. So we entered him for next week. And then I have others I have a lot that are exciting prospects. We have the Half to Leslie's Rose, who's in development. Belladonna, that has a lot of in that group. But I don't try to tout too much, because not that I don't know what to expect. We all know, usually they will show what you see in the morning, but it's so hard as a 2-year-old. They're babies, and to really perform at the level out here, first time out, it's hard to expect that first or second or even third time.
There's also, we're talking 2-year-olds right this second. However, earlier in the meet, opening week, Deep Satin, who had already hit the board a couple of times and obviously has got talent, the 3-year-old, how much upside and how quickly will you move Deep Satin along?
So she's one that's been really, all of her races, she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
She's kind of showed very professional, mature. So she's one that we're likely to step up in stakes company for her next start. Okay. Especially when you have the age restriction to work with, because now a lot of the allowance races are for 3-year-olds and up. So you're running against more seasoned horses and older horses. So there's some overnight stakes that we can look at. I think right now trying to run her in the Lake Placid, depending on who goes there, is probably a bit too much. I look at the numbers, you look at the numbers, so she's in progression, and she's making a nice positive progression, but just try to find her, and obviously she does act like she does belong in stakes, but we'll try to develop her along without putting her in too deep too soon.
Well, and of course earlier taking Candy and Rebel Red as well, and they'll run back here. What are you going to do with them?
So taking Candy, we have tentatively scheduled to go in the Bernard Baruch.
Nice.
He ran well in the Saranac last year, and he's a horse that's had some injuries, so he kind of start and stop, but he likes Saratoga. Jose knows him well, so, and then Rebel Red, he's another one. He's come back. He ran as a 2-year-old, did not start as a 3-year-old, and then came back, and his first race, we were learning about him, and then he came back with a win, and then another win here subsequently, and now, he's got a lot of upside. He is a full to without parole, so he's one that, from a development standpoint, we may want to go a little bit farther. So if that's a stake, not something like the Sword Dancer, but a smaller stake going farther, or an allowance race, whichever comes up, and we'll just have to see what the last book offers as far as allowance races go.
Nice.
With a 2-year-old, without caution, you debuted at 2 turns. What's the thought process there? Is that you really have to decide, when you debut long like that, or long for a 2-year-old? what goes into the decision-making process?
I think it's a lot easier to debut a turf horse going 2 turns.
Right.
And those races have a tendency to have an easier flow in the beginning of the race where they just quicken at the end. I try to look at them and say, this horse doesn't have any early speed. They have a nice turn of foot. They're engaged early on, but they're really not quick, and you can tell that physically, and you can tell it on the track. So, especially in turf racing, you have an only turf meant horse, and it's not like he was super early. He was ready to run yesterday. You're probably just gonna lose more than you gain going 5.5 with a horse like him, as opposed to a filly like Good Conduct who came, and she could even sprint again, but she got outfooted, but then she came with a nice run at the end, but she wasn't so far out of it that she was making no impact.
And let's, before we wrap it up, let's get some thoughts on Shotgun Hottie this afternoon and salty little version of the Shoe V. That's going to be race number 5 today. What are your expectations?
It's a small field. And if we find ourselves on the lead, so be it. I think with her and what Paco has done, the best with her is getting her to relax wherever she is. So, she, in the fleur-de-lis, she ran well. I don't think she ran her hardest race because she was boxed up and she just couldn't get through. Coming back in 3 weeks rest into this spot made sense. So we'll see. She hasn't had a start over the track, so that's always another factor, too, up here.
Very good. Steve?
One disappointment yesterday, Stage Raider, who has got to be driving everybody crazy. This is John Gunther's half to Justify and the ill-fated Lieutenant.
Right.
He's already a stake winner. He's going to stand somewhere. He's Justify's brother. You got to get? There's got to be talent there. I mean, he's shown talent at times.
Right.
What do you do with this horse?
Well, short of a lobotomy or a horse psychic to just ask him what he wants to do.
Horse psychic.
Yeah. We'd gotten him, and Chad had done a great job with him, and Tanya and John just thought maybe a different approach might help. And he's a difficult, not terribly difficult, but you have to just exist in his world, not vice versa. So we did really well, and turn him out. He's just been in a great routine, but when he gets it in his mind, he doesn't want to do something. It's very apparent. So the horse looks great. He's a phenomenal individual, and the talent is there. You'd have to think when he stands, some of that will come out. But he's just he breezes well, looks fantastic. Checks all the boxes, and then when he's done doing something, he's done. In a race, and it's just hard to predict that in training because going to the Breeders' Cup, he acted like he was going to put on he could really be there and do something good. He just hit the board. And the gates opened, and a 16th of a mile into the race, I knew he just wasn't taken there. And that's just him. If he doesn't want to do something, he's not going to do it. So, you know that. You're married.
You had to say that, right?
Poor
Tina's
Tina.
watching. She knows exactly. She knows very well. Because I'm a fan. I'd like to see him.
I would, and it's a horse like him. If you didn't have the pedigree, you might try to geld him and do it, but that's not an option for him. So you just do the best you can, and the horse has had these glimmers of really showing that he is a top horse, but just sometimes they get the better of all of us.
Exactly. Cherie Devaux joining us on this fun morning. You made reference to, of course, to Chad and to Chuck, and you have to stay around. You can't be going back to Kentucky too often because you're lifting Chuck's spirits when you get over to visit him, and he's so proud of you. It's unbelievable.
Well, thank you, and it's hard when you have somebody who means so much to you to watch him go through that. And if I just stop by for a few minutes, which I did this week, you do everything you can, and I text him, and whatever he needs, I can drop of a hat, do something for him. But hopefully we'll get through it, and we'll be able to hear him yelling at someone or starting Twitter fights here soon.
Cherie Devaux, everybody, and Riri Devaux on your Twitter, R-E-R-E Devaux. And I at what point did they teach? Somebody stepped forward and changed the spelling on the Devaux to the capital V.
When on Equibase?
Yeah,
it's been like that.
not originally.
The first start it wasn't, but after the first start, I said we have to change
all right.
that.
I wondered. I only noticed it the other day. I was looking up something and I said, "Oh, they got the capital
maybe
V."
It's just whoever's putting it in.
Okay.
Cherie,
Always a pleasure.
We appreciate you stopping by, and gave me a chance to get some 2-year-old information for the fan who wanted that as well. Great start to the meet. Been having a great year. When you were in the other day, we talked about that phenomenal Pimlico weekend. That was fabulous as well. So keep it going. Rooting for you, and we appreciate the visit.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
We'll take just a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. So stay tuned. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
All right, just wanted to come back quickly and wrap it up because I did want to ask you how the Monmouth Trip went.
It is so great down there. Andy certainly always gives me grief, that the meet starts and I take off the first week, right after the first weekend. But I've been going to Haskell forever, and we just love it down there. I lived in Brielle for a year. Monmouth was the first track I got to attend on a regular daily basis, during a season, and I couldn't stay for the race actually for first time I think that's ever happened. But we had to come back. We had the family, the grandkids were quite welcome. The grandkids were up and they spent the weekend, so we needed to get back. But the Jersey Shore, it's just such a great atmosphere. The place is it's just gorgeous. It's different from here. It's got a slightly different atmosphere. It's a resort town. Not that this isn't a vacation area, but you can't gush enough about Monmouth Park. And if you've never been, get that on your list.
And before we go, want to remind people again, Beat Bick, the NTRA website.
NTRA.com/NHC/BeatBick.
Get 2 shots every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I didn't fare well last weekend or yesterday, but I'm in today. I have Raging Sea in the stakes race.
What happens is I pick a horse. You can either come with me. If I'm right, you qualify. If you pick a different horse that wins, you qualify. There's season-long prizes. That's basically credits on horseplayers.com. You qualify once. That's all you have to do to get into the final, the third Saturday of September. And the winner of that finale gets a seat to Vegas, to the NHC in March at Horseshoe Vegas. So get involved, come play. This is the 6th season of it. Everybody loves it. And today I picked the Shoe V, and I picked Cherie, Shotgun Hottie, who's going to be favored. But like you said, it's a tricky little race.
You don't think Raging Sea will be favored?
I don't know. I think
Raging
Cherie's
Sea
3-2.
And I think
Raging Sea 7-5.
Something like that.
All right. Either way, I mean, they'll vie for favoritism. Misty Vale.
I like that horse all season long down at Oaklawn this
Nothing wrong with Misty Vale, and even who was it? It was an Intricate. Is it Intricate? Who's the other horse? There's another horse in there that's a little.
I thought those 3 were the ones.
No, there was. Hold on. There's Just Catherine. Jimenez, Jose Jimenez's horse on the outside. That Just Catherine is okay. She's a little sneaky in there as well. So it's I know everybody. 5-horse field. Okay. You got, listen, Venti Valentine's a nice horse. I think New York bred. She's a little overmatched in this spot. I think, but
try to get some
she's
placing
solid.
integrated, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up for this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow, Steve Byk, loose on the lead. It's like a bonus appearance in the fact you were down in Jersey
actually,
this week.
That's true. Because normally I'd be coming back today from Jersey.
Happy to have you on board, and it was another good show, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. As far as the morning programming, we'll be back on Wednesday, kicking off another week. 9 a.m. for the Handicappers Award and 10 a.m. for Racing Across America. We'll see you next Wednesday.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.